Hello. Thank you so much for joining me today for a different kind of video. I actually got a really interesting email today. This is just an excerpt from it. It's the main part that I wanted to respond to, and I decided to actually just make a video responding to it because I thought it was quite fascinating. He says, "Hi Ryan, I would be eternally grateful if you would be extremely kind to share some details about the area, Indiana, and especially related to crime, like violent crime and petty thievery, and generally how safe it is." Interesting. As I said, I know I can find these kinds of things on the internet, but maybe totally and radically different from someone with boots on the ground. I thought that part was quite fascinating because I agree. I agree in general that type of thing is true. You know, it's kind of like you read a review about a restaurant that says it's fantastic, you go and it's horrible. You say, what the heck happened? Not everything on the internet. Actually, that's a horrible explanation. The actual explanation is, sometimes statistics don't give you an actual picture. You can only quantify things so accurately to the true nature of what's happening somewhere. Am I speaking in a way that makes any sense? There's a quote I heard one time, "Anecdotes are reality," which kind of changed my perspective a little bit, quite a bit. Because I used to be this type of person that always brushed off anecdotes. It's just an anecdote. You can't, in statistics, you can't care about an anecdote. That's just one person's experience. But you need to appreciate anecdotes because anecdotes are actually reality. You can only quantify in the numbers on the spreadsheets so many things. For example, if you're trying to figure out how safe America is and you looked up gun crime, that would be that would be a way of determining how safe it is. But the problem arises that, well, a lot of that gun crime is happening in specific areas, and a lot of it is gang-related gun crime. So, trust me, I'm not trying to downplay gun crime in America, okay? Trust me, I know. I agree. Gun crime, like access to guns, pretty wild here in America. But with that said, it's not a war zone outside my window, okay, right now. I'm looking outside the window. There's no war going on, as it might seem. And if you look up gun crimes, it doesn't usually separate because it can be hard to quantify. Gang-related gun crime, I, shockingly, am not affiliated with any gangs that I know of. So I don't have to worry about gang-related gun crime, okay? And if you don't have to worry about gang-related gun crime, your safety goes way up here in America and probably anywhere else in the world. But that's just an example of how statistics, they might not give you an exact picture of what you need to know how safe somewhere actually is. He goes on, "I'd like to mention here not to compare European statistics because shockingly enough, we do not trust our police force." Now, this guy, I won't say where he's from, but he's from an Eastern European country. And in this country, evidently, he doesn't trust his police force. Okay, that's not to apply. I know a lot of European countries, most of you guys trust your police force. But as far as this man, he doesn't trust his police force. Once again, interesting. That's a whole separate matter. Whether or not the statistics are even accurate, that's a separate matter. A lot of crimes are going by unreported, from scams to assaults, theft, domestic violence, all the way to even worse stuff. Sorry for the negative note. Catalin. Shout out Catalin. Okay. So I thought that was really fascinating for all those reasons I just laid out. And I'm going to do my best to answer from an anecdotal perspective, which is in its own way going to be flawed because it's just my experience. But I have lived, I've lived in relatively wealthy suburbs. I've lived in quite poor apartments. I've lived in many different states. So I can give, to some extent, a pretty good picture. And right now, I feel like I live in a very, very middle America. I do live in middle America, and I live in a very average type of scenario place in America. So I'm going to go over some anecdotes of my own experience here in America and how safe it is, okay? Now let's go through these one at a time. And so I'm going to be talking about my personal experiences with these things. Scams. Okay. Scams here in America. Have I ever been the victim of a scam? I will say 9 times out of 10, if there's a scam happening to me, it's over the phone. You will get scam callers or scam emails or something, you know, that or are on like Telegram. By the way, if anyone in the comments says that they're me and that you want a prize and it's me and I need to talk to you on Telegram, that's a scam. But anyway, 9 times out of 10, the scams are occurring over the phone, or 99 times out of 100, they're occurring over the phone, you know, that type of scam. But that's not really what we're talking about. In-person scams, I was going to say no. I've never experienced any type of scam, but I do think there actually is one scam that's a little bit prevalent here in America, and it's that you'll be in a parking lot. Okay, this is where it's happened to me actually, I think on 2 different occasions. You'll be in a parking lot. Usually a man or a woman, usually a man will come up to you. And I know that this has happened to a couple people I know as well. So that's why this is definitely the most prominent scam here in America. And the scam is just that they come up to you, they're begging for money. They'll say, hey, I'm out of gas. I'm out of gas and my family is in the car and we need to get back to Chicago. If you would please just give me $20, $40 for gas, please. Now, how do I know that's a scam? Well, I know it's a scam because the same person did it to me twice. I don't think I lost my wallet. We're on a road trip. I lost my wallet. My family is in the car. They're struggling. We need to get back to Chicago. This elaborate story about I'm out of gas and I need money. Please, I lost my wallet. I have heard multiple people say that exact same type of thing, and therefore I understand and I know it's a scam. That is a scam. And that's the only scam. I don't know why that particular scam happens here in America, but throughout my life, and I'm talking over the course of, 30 years. I'm not saying this happens every day. I'm saying this happens once a decade. Someone will do this to me. And it's not, all you have to say is no, sorry. Or if you have a gigantic heart and you actually think that this person's telling the truth for once, you can say, yes, here's $20, But that is a scam, and that's pretty prominent over here in America, relatively. I mean, relative to any other scam. We don't have any, I think the criminals over here in America aren't as clever as the European ones in general. I don't think they're as clever. I've heard in like Paris, there's a scam where they lay prints of paintings on the sidewalk, and if you step on it, they'll say, "Oh, you need to pay the $50." I can't do accents. Sorry. Anyway, I don't think our scammers are that clever. So it's just that I ran out of gas. Okay. So hopefully that gives you some kind of idea of scams. Assaults. Have I ever been the victim of an assault? No. No, I've never been the victim of an assault. I'm making sure that's true. Yeah, that's accurate. Now, I mean, one time at a movie theater, some moron took my seat. It was a reserved seat. Nowadays, you usually get a reserved seat in a movie theater. He took my seat. I asked him to move, and he threatened to assault me. Over that. Pretty stupid. Did he assault me? No. And that was really pretty much the only time that I can think of off the top of my head that it even ever came close to happening. Now, do I know anyone that's been assaulted? Domestically, yes, meaning by their partner, yes. Sadly. That's really sad, but that's, I don't know. That's probably the way it is around the world too. Sadly, it's your own partner for a lot of people that will be the one that might assault them. But apart from domestic assaults, ooh, okay, I'm trying to think. Surely I know someone who's been assaulted. I can't say I do. I cannot say I do. Which seems, I feel like I'm just lucky on that regard. You know, surely someone's been beat up or something that I know. Damn, I don't know. I can't think of any. I mean, that's a good thing, right? Theft. Theft. Okay, so we're talking burglary, theft, breaking into your car, breaking into your house, stealing, stealing from you. Has this ever happened to me? Have I ever had anything stolen from me in my time here in America, which is my entire life? The answer to that, anything stolen. The answer is no, unless this is a huge stretch, but if you consider, like, there have been times where I bring my car in to get repaired at the auto body shop, and I feel like, to me, it feels like theft. This is a huge stretch, guys. This is a huge stretch. But to be honest, this is the closest thing I've got for myself. And it's that I feel like I have been, well, maybe this is more of a scam. I don't know what to call it. I don't even know if it actually happened. That's the thing. You know, they'll say that something's wrong with your car, and I don't know if I fully trust them. Like, there's probably a lot of half truths going on. You know, oh, you need to replace this belt. I took a look at it, and it's it's about to snap, and it's like I don't know about that. Like, maybe in 5 more years it's gonna snap, but that type of thing. Is that a theft? No, that's not a theft. Okay, let's be honest. Have I ever been a victim of a theft? No. Now, do I know anyone who's been a victim of a theft? Well, okay. My wife did have her car broken into. Her car was parked out in front of her apartment. It was broken into. That's not that uncommon, guys. If you live in, especially if you live in, well, actually, no matter really where you live, if you park your car outside, because even if you're in a nice neighborhood, sometimes the kids, it's the kids usually that are going around at night. And trust me, this sounds so much more common than it is. This is not that common in a nice neighborhood. But every once in a while, some kids will go around and try to open, see who left their car unlocked, and then, look for something inside to take. Has that ever happened to me? No. My wife, now this was, as I said, I've lived in all sorts of places. This was in the worst place that we've ever lived, which sadly mostly just means a relatively poor area, which is where more people are desperate to, and going to be trying to steal things. And so that is where her car was busted into. The window was broken. And this actually is common in big cities. But anyway, it was broken into, and they stole, like, her wallet. Pretty sad, but yeah. Now, the only other thing that comes to mind is my brother. My brother left his gym locker unlocked. And some dick, okay, let's be honest. It's pretty stupid to go to a gym and put your wallet in a locker and not lock it. But that's what he did. And some dick took the money out of the wallet. Apart from that, have I ever been stolen from? No. But those are the 2 things that come to mind as far as people I know of that have been stolen from. Domestic violence. Domestic violence. Have I ever been a victim? Sorry, I don't mean to laugh at domestic violence. I'm just laughing at the idea of saying, yeah, I'm a victim right now, guys. My wife, she punches me every night. No, luckily I've never been the victim of domestic violence, and shockingly, guys, I've never committed domestic violence, and no one, this isn't a thing in my family. Okay? Thankfully. Now, do I know other people And have I heard words of other people? Of course. Maybe I say of course. Maybe in your country that's unheard of. I don't know. But I have heard maybe two or three people that I know of in my sphere of people. And usually it's like a friend of a friend where it's like, hey, did you know this guy hit his girlfriend or something horrible like that? But that's the extent to domestic violence. Okay. Now that ends his list. I'm actually gonna add on a little bit because I think a lot of people want to know about shootings. And it's like, has a shooting ever impacted me? And I'm not gonna say YouTube doesn't like when you say certain things, but you know what I'm saying, okay? The ones America is famous for, sadly. And no, I have never been in a building or anything where that has occurred. I've never known anyone who's been in a building or in an area where it has occurred. Does that make sense? Oh. Okay, I'm back, guys. I mean, on the subject, my toddler was just assaulting my wife, so I guess there you go. It's not that uncommon, huh? Anyway, what was I talking about? I moved on to shootings. Right. Now, nobody I know, well, I do know one person who accidentally shot their own leg. Pretty ridiculous, but indeed. Apart from that, no one I know has been in any way involved in that type of incident. But with that said, does that mean I feel totally safe? No. There are incidents like, let's do this. There's a couple that come to mind. Free bagels for National Bagel Day. Wow. What was I doing? Oh yeah, Henderson Plastics. This incident took place relatively near where at the time I lived. Okay. No, I didn't live in Henderson, Kentucky, but it was within 30 minutes, and I went there regularly, meaning like maybe once a month or maybe more. So, this involved, I mean, it's pretty crazy. This guy went postal, and he killed 5 people. So that, to me, that's insane. Feels extremely close to home, and so that's a crazy incident. And the other one, I believe it was in Louisville. Yeah, I mean, I know it was Louisville, Old National Bank. This one, Louisville, this one's a bit of a stretch, I will say, which may once again just give you an idea of how these things don't really happen. America's a huge country. The fact that this one happened only 2.5 hours away from where I live, to me, that felt a little bit closer to the home than most of them, or a lot closer to home than most of them. This was in 2023. The last one was in 2008. So, that gives you a sense, that was 17 years ago now. So it's not like these things, and that was the one that happened nearest to me as any other has ever happened. Does that make sense? And so, what this really does is, the truth of the matter is that at any large event, it's always in the back of my mind, which sucks. I think that's extremely unfortunate. I am a particularly type of paranoid kind of person in that sense. Most other people aren't really thinking about it as much as I do, but, I'm always looking out. I'm looking. I see you shifty people. I'm watching. I'm always looking for odd circumstances or people to be wary of. And of course, you know, everywhere's got their events where, you know, some people are just evil and will attack an event, whether it's with a car or a gun. But yes, of course, with a gun, it's much, much easier and more prevalent here in America. So in that way, I find that extremely annoying. Okay? I find that extremely annoying that I have to even think about it. And in that sense, I resent that about America. I wish that I didn't have to think about it at all. Partly because I am a bit paranoid. It would be nice to not have to worry about that type of event even being like likely in any way. That would be cool. But that's not the state of the world where I live. In America in general, I mean. And let me say, this is all anecdotal stuff, as I've said a million times. And I personally have never lived in a big city. I've lived on the outskirts of a big city, in the suburbs of a big city. I've never lived in a big city. So I think if you live in a big city, you're in America, your experience may differ. I don't know. It may differ. I've been to big cities plenty of times, you know, all the time. I've been to big cities. I'm not saying that I never go to the city. I go to the city regularly, but I don't live in the city. And so maybe if I lived in the city, you might take an anecdote from someone living in the heart of Chicago. They probably have some more stories than I do, I would guess. Now, I think I'm going to cap the video off by just actually looking at some statistics because, you know, as I've said, this video is not about statistics, but the statistics do tell you, you know, you need the anecdotes and the statistics to at least try to get a full picture of these types of things. So if you look at the homicide rate in general, this is not exclusively to guns. This is just homicide rate. You can just see by the by the color coded. I'm trying to zoom in here. Why is this so bad? Indeed, the USA definitely has a higher homicide rate than most of Europe, including Eastern Europe. Then again, it brings up the point about the guy saying crimes aren't always reported, but I'm sure as far as homicides, they're probably reported, right? So, yeah, I mean, you can just compare it to Canada. It's obviously higher than in Canada. Also brings up my point about gangs. You know, there is gang activity here in America. I've never witnessed gang activity, but I know it's here in America in places, in neighborhoods. You don't want to go to those neighborhoods. And that's where a large amount of this type of activity is taking place, okay? So it's almost impossible to quantify, guys. I can only tell you my anecdotal experience, which I think I've done a relatively good job of portraying. You know, that was the point of the video. I think I've told you about my anecdotal experience here in America as far as safety. Take away from that what you will. Oh man, I hope someone watched this entire video. Maybe it was just my man Catalan. He's the only one still watching. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.